90% of car owners fall for fuel myths that destroys their car engines. Here's the twist. You'll most likely fall for it too, costing you thousands in repairs. Before you waste more money, here's 15 fuel myths you're doing that ruins your engine. Don't skip to save money. Let's start with the most common myth. Myth number 15. Premium gas clean and fixes your engine. Using premium in a car designed for regular is like buying designer water to flush your toilet. It does the same job as the regular stuff. It just costs way more. And those cleaning agents everyone raves about, they're in all grades of gas from the same station. Premium doesn't have special scrubbing powers. If your engine has problems, it needs diagnosis and repair, not expensive gas. What's particularly insidious about this myth is that it preys on drivers when they're most vulnerable, when their car is already acting up. Desperate for a quick fix, people waste hundreds of dollars per year on premium fuel, thinking it's medicine for their ailing engine. If your vehicle's manual doesn't require premium, it won't run faster, smoother, or more efficiently on it. Modern engines have knock sensors that adjust timing automatically for regular fuel. Unless your engine is knocking or designed to need premium, there's zero benefit. AAA even tested this and found zero benefit for cars designed for regular fuel, estimating Americans waste over $2 billion a year on this myth alone. Save the premium for cars that actually require it. Use that saved money for real maintenance that makes a difference. Think that's the only expensive mistake people make at the pump? Wait until you hear about this morning ritual that accomplishes absolutely nothing. Myth number 14. Buying gas in morning gives better MPG. This myth is everywhere. Your uncle swears by it. You've seen it shared on Facebook 1,000 times. Fill up in the cool morning air and get denser gas, which means more energy per gallon. The science checks out, so this must work, right? Here's the problem. The fuel's temperature doesn't match the air. Gas at the station is stored in massive underground tanks, insulated by dirt, keeping it at a stable temperature day and night. Morning chill, afternoon heat, the gas barely notices. These tanks are buried 3 to 4 feet underground, where the temperature stays at a constant 50-60 degrees regardless of what's happening above ground. Even if there were a tiny temperature change, the density difference is so small, you'd save maybe fractions of a penny per gallon. We're talking about a potential difference of less than 1%. In reality, you'd burn more brainpower planning fill-ups than you'd ever save. Pump meters are also calibrated to compensate for temperature variations, so you're getting the same volume of fuel regardless of when you show up. Technically true in a lab, useless in the real world. Fill up whenever it's convenient and stop losing sleep over imaginary savings. But if waking up early for nothing sounds bad, this next myth has people literally throwing money away with every fill-up. Myth number 13. Topping off your tank gets you more fuel. You're at the pump, it clicks, you're done. But wait, you squeeze the handle one more time, just a little more. Gotta hit that perfect dollar amount, right? Or maybe you think you're sneaking in extra fuel. Stop, you're not clever. You're just wasting money and risking damage to your car. When the pump clicks, your tank is full. That extra fuel you're trying to force in. It's either getting sucked back into the station's vapor recovery system or spilling onto the ground. Either way, you just paid for gas you didn't get. But here's where it gets worse. Modern cars have an evaporative emission system with a charcoal canister designed to capture fuel vapors. Overfilling can flood this canister with liquid fuel, damaging it beyond repair. Once that happens, your car can't control emissions properly, your fuel efficiency drops, and you're staring down a repair bill that could hit $600. Oh, and let's not forget, gasoline expands when it heats up. That extra fuel you crammed in. It can leak out later, creating a fire hazard and eating away at your car's paint. Gasoline is corrosive. It doesn't play nice with clear coats. When the pump clicks, stop. You're not outsmarting the system. You're just making expensive mistakes. Speaking of mistakes, this next one will 100% shock you. Myth number 12. Turning off the AC saves your gas. It's a hot day. The debate starts. Roll the windows down or blast the AC. We've all heard that air conditioning kills your mileage. And yes, it does use energy, but sometimes open windows are worse. It all comes down to speed. In city driving, your engine isn't working hard, and the drag from open windows is tiny, so rolling them down is usually more efficient. But hit the highway and the game changes. Your car's shape is designed for smooth airflow. Open the windows at 60 mph and you ruin that, letting air flood in and creating turbulence. It's like towing a small parachute. Your engine has to burn more fuel to push through. Studies show that at higher speeds, the drag from open windows can cost you more gas than running the AC. At speeds above 50 mph, open windows can reduce fuel efficiency by up to 20%. Meanwhile, your AC is only costing you about 1 to 3 mpg. And modern AC systems are far more efficient than they used to be. They use variable displacement compressors and smart electronics that aren't the gas-guzzling monsters from the 80s. Rule of thumb: city streets, windows down. Highway, windows up, AC on. Your fuel economy and your deodorant will thank you. But if you think temperature control is controversial, you'll be surprised by this next one. Number 11. Manuals are more fuel efficient than automatic. Once upon a time, this was gospel truth. If you wanted the best mileage, you learned to drive stick. Old automatics were slow, clunky, and thirsty. But today's automatics are a different animal. With tech like CVTs and dual clutch systems, they can shift faster and more precisely than any human, keeping the engine in its sweet spot for efficiency. They shift in milliseconds, predict terrain changes, and optimize every drop of fuel with computer precision that no human can match. In fact, for many models, the automatic now has a better MPG rating than the manual. Check the EPA ratings, sometimes by 2-3 mpg in favor of the automatic. The times have changed. Manual isn't automatically the mileage champ anymore. The real difference comes down to driving habits. Smooth acceleration, gentle braking, and not mashing the pedal will save far more fuel than whether you row your own gears or not. So, if you love driving stick for the fun of it, great. But don't fool yourself into thinking you're some fuel-saving hero. The tech has evolved, and so should your understanding of fuel efficiency. If you're finding these myth-busting truths valuable, I'll very much appreciate a hit on that like button. We've got 9 more myths to demolish, and some of them are going to blow your mind. Myth number 10. You need to warm up your engine before driving. Let's talk about a classic that your dad, granddad, and probably half your neighbors still swear by. Cold morning, you start the car, let it idle for 5, maybe 10 minutes so the engine can warm up. Seems logical, right? Let the oil circulate, get everything up to temp. Here's the truth. Unless you're driving a car from the 80s with a carburetor, you're just burning gas to go nowhere. Modern fuel-injected engines are built to warm up while you drive. All they need is about 30 seconds, not 10 minutes. The fastest, most efficient warm-up is to start the engine, wait a moment, then drive off gently. You'll heat the cabin quicker, get better mileage, and actually, get somewhere. And it's not just wasteful, it can be harmful. Cold idling lets unburned fuel wash oil off your cylinder walls, causing extra wear over time. Plus, your catalytic converter only works when it's hot, so all that warming up is really just dumping more pollution into the air. The EPA estimates that restarting your engine uses less fuel than idling for just 10 seconds, so that 5-minute warm-up is effectively 30 times more wasteful than necessary. The only thing you're warming up is your wallet by setting it on fire. Now, speaking of idling, let's bust another myth about when to turn your engine off. Myth number 9. Idling uses less fuel than restarting your engine. You're in a long drive-through line, or waiting to pick someone up who says they'll be just a minute. You leave the engine running, thinking restarting will waste more gas than idling. For any modern car, that's just wrong. Fuel injection systems today are incredibly efficient. Starting your engine uses only a tiny sip of gas, roughly the equivalent of idling for 10 seconds. Idling, on the other hand, gives you exactly 0 miles per gallon. Experts say if you're stopped for more than 10 seconds, you'll save fuel by shutting it off. And those little moments add up. A car can burn 1/4 to half a gallon of gas per hour just sitting there. If you're waiting for 5 minutes, you've burned through enough fuel to drive a mile or more. Long idles also aren't great for your engine. They can cause carbon buildup because the engine isn't running at its optimal temperature or load. When an engine idles cold, fuel can strip oil from cylinder walls and dilute your engine oil, potentially causing more wear. Bottom line, don't be afraid to turn that key. Your wallet and the air will thank you. But if you think shutting off your engine is smart, you'd be 100% surprised by this next one. Myth number 8. Shifting into neutral at stop saves fuel. You're sitting at a red light, engine humming. You slide the shifter into neutral because someone once told you it saves fuel. Feels smart, right? It's not. This myth is a leftover from the carburetor era, when shifting into neutral might have helped slightly. Back then, engines were mechanically fed fuel, whether you needed it or not. So taking pressure off the drivetrain made some sense. But today, it's a totally different machine under the hood. Modern vehicles use computer-controlled fuel injection systems. When you ease off the gas, the car's brain senses that and cuts fuel delivery automatically. That means if you're stopped with your foot on the brake, even while in gear, the engine already knows not to waste fuel. Shifting into neutral doesn't help. In fact, constantly doing it wears out your transmission's shift components faster and can even confuse your car's control systems over time. Let your car idle in gear. It's already smarter than that old myth. Speaking of neutral, this next myth takes things even further with some seriously dangerous advice. Myth number 7. Coasting in neutral downhill saves fuel. Shifting to neutral when going downhill feels clever, doesn't it? Let gravity do the work. Save some fuel. Seems logical. Except it's completely backward. In modern fuel-injected cars, when you're coasting downhill in gear, the engine computer cuts fuel almost completely. It's called deceleration fuel cutoff, or DFCO. Your wheels are turning the engine, so the computer says, hey, we don't need fuel right now, and shuts off the injectors completely. But guess what happens when you shift into neutral? The engine has to use fuel to maintain idle. You're literally burning more gas by trying to save it. Oh, and it's also dangerous. Coasting in neutral means you have less control in emergency situations. Your brakes have to work harder without engine braking to help slow you down, and in some states, it's actually illegal. So you're risking your safety, breaking the law, and wasting fuel. That's a lose-lose-lose situation. Keep it in gear, let the computer do its job, and stop falling for outdated advice that could get you hurt. You're definitely falling for this next myth. Myth number 6. Branded gasoline gives better mileage. Some drivers are fiercely loyal to one gas station brand, swearing it makes their car run smoother. Shell, Chevron, BP, whatever. The truth? For most people, the difference is minor. All gasoline in the US must meet strict quality and octane standards set by the EPA. The base fuel often comes from the same refineries and is delivered by the same trucks to multiple stations, regardless of the brand on the sign. The real dividing line isn't brand, it's whether the gas is top tier. That certification means extra detergents to keep engines clean, and plenty of big and small brands qualify. Costco, for example, sells top-tier gas at some of the lowest prices around. Once you're buying top-tier, one brand won't magically give better mileage than another. What matters more is the station itself. A busy location with fresh fuel and well-maintained tanks beats a rundown one with old fuel every time. Don't pay extra for a fancy logo. Pay for quality fuel from a station that takes care of its equipment and moves inventory regularly. But if you think the station matters, wait until you hear what people are pouring into their tanks. Number 5. Fuel additives will dramatically boost your mileage. Walk down the auto parts aisle and you'll see rows of bottles promising 20% MPG or restores lost power. Sounds tempting. But for most drivers, it's pure fiction. Yes, a good cleaner can help an older engine with carbon buildup. But modern gasoline already comes loaded with advanced additives, especially if you buy top-tier fuel to keep your engine clean. Oil companies spend millions developing these blends before the fuel even hits the pump. Some additives might give a tiny cleaning benefit, but the cost almost always outweighs any microscopic MPG gain. The EPA has tested hundreds of these products over the years, and almost none delivered meaningful improvements in fuel economy. Most of these additives contain basic detergents similar to what's already in your gas, just in a fancy bottle with bold claims. Others rely on metallic compounds that might temporarily boost performance, but can damage oxygen sensors and catalytic converters over time, leading to repair bills that dwarf any potential savings. The truth? If you keep up with maintenance and use quality fuel, you don't need to dump magic juice in your tank. Save your money for stuff that actually works, like proper tire inflation and regular oil changes. Now, let's shift from what you put in your tank to how you actually drive. Myth number 4. Cruise control always saves gas. Cruise control. The magical button that keeps your speed steady and your fuel bills low, right? Not so fast. On flat, smooth highways, cruise control works beautifully. It maintains a consistent speed, prevents unnecessary acceleration, and can genuinely help your fuel economy. But the moment you hit rolling hills or varied terrain, it becomes a gas-guzzling liability. Here's why. Cruise control is programmed to maintain your set speed at all costs. When you approach an uphill section, it doesn't ease off like a smart driver would. Instead, it slams the throttle, dumping fuel into the engine to keep you at exactly 70 mph. An experienced driver, on the other hand, would build a little momentum beforehand and let the car slow slightly on the climb, using way less fuel. On the flip side, when cresting a hill, cruise control keeps applying throttle until you're already heading downhill, wasting fuel that gravity could have handled for free. Studies show that in hilly terrain, a skilled driver can beat cruise control by 5 to 10% in fuel efficiency. Now, if you're the type who drives like you're qualifying for NASCAR, constant braking, random acceleration, zero consistency, then yeah, cruise control is your friend. But if you actually know how to read the road, you'll do better without it. Adaptive cruise control in newer vehicles is getting better at this, but it still can't match a truly skilled driver. Speaking of things that sound helpful but create more problems, this next one could land you in legal trouble. Myth number 3. A full gas tank prevents fuel evaporation. Sounds logical, right? Keep the tank full, leave less room for air, and boom, less gas turns into vapor and escapes. Seems scientific, but this tip belongs in the automotive museum. Yes, in ancient cars with vented gas caps, vapors could leak out, but every modern car has an EVAP system, short for evaporative emission control. It's a sealed setup that traps fuel vapors and sends them back to the engine to burn. Whether your tank's full or nearly empty, those vapors aren't going anywhere. And here's the twist. Chasing this myth can actually hurt your mileage. Gas is heavy. A full 20-gallon tank weighs over 120 pounds. That's like hauling an extra passenger everywhere you go. More weight means more work for your engine, which means more fuel burned. While the effect is small, it's the exact opposite of what the myth promises. The better move? Keep your tank between a quarter and full and skip the obsessive top-offs. Your car and your wallet will be just fine. This next myth is shocking. Number 2. Smaller engines always use less fuel. Smaller engine, better fuel economy. Makes sense, right? Less power, less gas. Simple math. Not so fast. While it's true that smaller engines can be more efficient under light loads, real-world driving is rarely that simple. Modern automakers love swapping out larger engines for small turbocharged ones. On paper, they're great, but when you push them, hard acceleration, highway merging, towing, those tiny engines work over time. When the turbo kicks in, fuel consumption spikes. That little 1.5-litre four-cylinder might get great mileage cruising at 40 mph, but ask it to pass a semi on the highway, and it'll burn fuel like a V8. In fact, if you regularly drive under demanding conditions, a larger naturally aspirated engine might actually burn less fuel overall, because it doesn't have to strain as much to do the same job. It operates in a more efficient range without needing forced induction to compensate for displacement. Fuel efficiency isn't about engine size, it's about engine balance and how you use it. A 2.0-litre turbo working at 90% capacity burns more fuel than a 3.5-litre V6 cruising at 60% capacity doing the same job. So before you assume small equals efficient, think about how you actually drive. Context matters more than displacement. And finally, the most dangerous myth on this list, one that could cost you way more than just fuel. Myth number 1, brake checking doesn't affect fuel economy. Here's one that doesn't get talked about enough, but it's costing drivers serious money and creating dangerous situations on the road. Some drivers think that as long as they're not pressing the gas pedal, they're not using fuel. So they drive aggressively, speed up quickly, then slam on the brakes at the last second. They figure, hey, I'm not using gas when I brake, so what's the problem? The problem is huge. Every time you accelerate hard, you're burning a significant amount of fuel to build up speed and momentum. When you brake hard, you're converting all that energy you just paid for at the pump, into heat that dissipates through your brake pads. It's literally throwing money away. Aggressive driving with frequent hard braking can reduce your fuel economy by up to 33% on the highway and 5% in the city, according to the Department of Energy. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between 25 mpg and 37 mpg. But it gets worse. This driving style isn't just wasteful, it's dangerous. Brake checking other drivers or consistently braking hard creates hazardous situations for everyone around you. You're wearing out your brakes faster, stressing your transmission, and putting yourself and others at risk. The solution is simple. Smooth, anticipatory driving. Look ahead, coast when you can, and let your car's momentum carry you. Gentle acceleration and gradual deceleration keep your engine operating in its most efficient range. Imagine there's an egg under your gas pedal and a full cup of coffee in your cup holder. That's how smooth you should be driving. Not only will you save fuel, but your brake pads, rotors, and transmission will last significantly longer, and you'll arrive at your destination just as quickly, without the stress and danger of aggressive driving. If this helped you, I'll appreciate a hit on that like button and drop a comment with the worst fuel tip you've ever heard. Subscribe for more money-saving car content. And did you know you might be getting scammed by your mechanic and you don't know it? Click this video. Thank you.